Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Santa Claus as well.
And welcome to another episode of the So You Want to Be an Imagineer Inside Baseball Show. So fun times, guys. Fun times. I really didn't mean to blow things up as much as I maybe did. I just kind of want to clear some stuff right off the bat. Not trying to single anyone out in particular. I am not particularly happy about some of the stuff that's gone down in this project. I am very discouraged to say that what was definitely my most anticipated prompt of the season has turned into what might be one of the worst projects that you guys actually submitted. Very disappointed in that. I'm not going to lie. I'm just kind of personally very let down by that. The Mansion project meant a lot to me, and I kind of feel like the ball was dropped to a certain extent. Having said that, I really am not trying to gang up on anyone. The game is going to play out the way it's going to play out, and I'm just going to stop kind of being super critical about it. And I hope that I haven't rubbed anyone too much the wrong way with that. Anyway, Sandy, so we have not heard from you in the context of the game. I mean, of course, you've been on the channel and whatnot, but you were eliminated like right at the merge because you were on a trip. And
Yeah.
So how you been doing since you've been gone from the game?
I've been doing well. I was pretty upset when I left the game because I really didn't like to leave everyone there. I made some great friends on the acquaintances on the boards. That was nice. I got make some new friends there, and the whole atmosphere is nice. Getting to be around people who are creative and full of energy. So it's been nice. I had a great trip. Sorry I had to leave.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, it was just kind of bad timing on your part, definitely. However, that being said, I think you left probably, like, it might have been a good thing you left when you did because things got super cutthroat, like, almost immediately after you left.
Yeah, so I hear.
So, yeah, I mean, we're dealing with the fallout of space being eliminated, and, God, I don't know, like, space, it's just, like, how do you feel working with space?
I think Space is a great guy. He's super creative. He always had a bunch of ideas. Even though there were times when working with him that I felt like he was just saying like everything, and it wasn't really leaving much space for anyone else to say a lot of stuff. But I think that is minimal compared to just how amazingly talented he was, which is it was amazing. I mean, I've talked to him on the show before, and I think he's awesome person. He's super nice. I don't think he's
last podcast I kind of came down a little hard on Space's gameplay, especially in terms of his social game, and I want to apologize. I really didn't mean anything by it, and if I took anything out of context, like I said, I apologize. Sandy, what you kind of said about how sometimes he'll kind of overtake the project and not have a lot of breathing room when it comes to other people's ideas. I mean, that's kind of just generally the opinion that I've heard from him from other people. Having said that, everyone in the game certainly respects him. Everyone on the boards respects him. I think he's a powerhouse when it comes to these comps. And
I probably shouldn't say a whole lot because I haven't been on the boards in weeks now. So I'm not going to say too much because I don't want to say anything I'll regret later or whatever.
And I don't know. I just think the reason why Space has a hard time getting past 7th place in these competitions is because he's so good that everyone knows how good he is.
Yeah.
But okay, Sandy. So let's get into this Haunted Mansion project. Sandy, just a little history for you and anyone else watching who's not immediately aware of it. This Haunted Mansion project basically make a Toon Town Haunted Mansion, which of course fits in line with the tradition of Haunted Mansions being in different lands from every Disney park, from New Orleans Square to Adventureland to Frontierland, just all over the place, and Liberty Square, of course. And I thought it'd be fun to do a Toontown version.
Yeah.
And the main reason I wanted to do this was because of probably the single most iconic thing that's ever come out of So You Want to Be an Imagineer. Go ahead and turn my webcam off so you can see it. The Tower of Terror, the Toontown Tower of Terror. This droopy bellhop, that's basically the avatar and the symbol of the channel, came straight from the idea we had of the Toontown Tower of Terror, where Goofy would be the bellhop. He'd be an animatronic bellhop. There'd be a whole bunch of different cameos from different cartoon characters, and it was amazing. And it is one of the best things that this game has ever produced.
All right. And that explains the avatar.
This project came at a really bad time. Having said that, I kind of wish that I would have maybe swapped the two Mansions projects, like have the Mansion Holidays project towards the beginning of the season and have this, or had the Mansion Holidays project more towards the end of the season, had this more towards the beginning of the season when more people were active. It just kind of, this was just a bad set of events that kind of struck this project. First of all, we had Man-Eating Wreath opening Walt's vault and getting sent straight to Exile Island, or I'm sorry, the Museum of the Weird, which not good. That did not help because I think Mew would have been a really good idea guy when it came to this competition. I think Mew would have been someone who definitely would have got the ball rolling in terms of the brainstorming, which is something that was desperately needed. And with him off on his own, I don't blame him for not having the time to complete a whole project on his own like that. So it was just an unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah, for sure.
And then of course we had just, let's face it, it's late August, getting into September. People are going to be back in school.
Yeah.
So that is another kind of factor. The other factor is that I feel like after Space's elimination, there were certain people, I'm not going to name names, certain people that got a little overly cocky on the main thread about the precarious situation that Figment is going to find herself in this round. And I feel like that was a major factor of Figment kind of just being like, well, if they're just going to turn around and do the same thing that they did to Space to me one round later, then why should I contribute all that much? And Figment, God love her. Even though she did know she was basically screwed this round, she still did like a lion's share of the project. So
good for her.
All right, Sandy, you want to break down the actual project? There are things I like about it, guys. I don't want to just be like uber critical and say like, this is the worst project ever and you should be ashamed and blah, blah, blah. That's honestly kind of the way I was kind of feeling in the morning, but I think you guys pulled some stuff out here that I did like. Oh God, I think probably the biggest strength of this project is the exterior and the queue. Wouldn't you say, Sandy?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's the section with the most beef on it.
Absolutely. I love the trees. I think the trees are a nice callback to the Grim Grinning Ghost section of the Disneyland Fun DVD. If that was intentional, like fucking brownie points for that. You know what else I love, Sandy? I do really, really like the Silly Symphonies angle of this, which is not something that I was expecting to come out of this project.
That is also a great callback. That's, it's, yeah.
I really love how the design of the mansion itself kind of is reminiscent of a style of architecture you'd see in something like the Dance of the Skeletons.
Yeah, I see it now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So overall, I really, really enjoyed that stuff. Having said that, one of the things when I was kind of privately going off to certain people, one of the things that I really wasn't thrilled with was the Ghostbusters thing, which frankly I just think is just it takes almost zero creative effort to come up with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, well, hey, what movie did people talk about this year? It doesn't matter if they talked about it in a good way or not, but it's fresh on the mind. It's Ghostbusters. I don't know.
I think if that movie hadn't have come out this year or at all, it wouldn't have really been relevant. It wouldn't have been on people's minds, like you said.
Right. And like I said, it just kind of feels like the least creative thing they could have done with it. And it's ironic, Sandy, because I feel like there's a lot of cool things here surrounding it. If they would have just done a silly symphony, if they would have just like framed this as a dark, silly symphony, had callbacks to stuff like the 13 Skeletons and the Mad Doctor and stuff like that, I would have loved it. That is totally the direction they should have gone.
Heck, I think if they made like the entire house like one big musical, like they had the skeletons singing like in a big choir or something, I think it would have been like the original cartoon, the Silly Symphony cartoons. That would have been really cool. I'm not a big fan of the old Ghostbusters route they took, and I think we're going to get into this more towards the end, where it just kind of fades off and just cuts off right where it.
That's the big problem. I mean, it just kind of, this feels like half a pitch. And honestly, that's exactly what I was expecting, just based on the lack of brainstorming that was going on. We had 4 pages of brainstorming overall, which is not good. That's one of the lowest amounts we've had. I definitely contribute some of that to the fact that school was in. I know that certain people who have had really trying times over the past couple of days with school, and certainly I'm not trying to get down on them or anything like that, but no, it's just a shame especially because I did feel like the setup was really good. You know, in spite of me not liking the Ghostbusters idea, I was willing to kind of go with it and see where it went. But then, Sandy, you're right. I think they absolutely just kind of dropped the ball with the second half of the project, the actual ride through, because what it is essentially just a series of gags, mostly just done with pictures and brief descriptions, and it's just kind of a bullet point outline. Like, it's not even an outline. It's literally just a bullet point list.
After I finished reading this, I was expecting to see like a page 16 here. I was like, wait, where is it? It's like, oh, is that it? Oh.
Yeah. And that to me really lies in the problem. And like I said, I just the strategy, I think, took a turn south this project. And it's not to the fault of any one person in particular. I'm not trying to single out any one person in particular. In fact, I think that everyone besides the person that did get voted out this round, it's pretty much equal parts to blame for what happened, because it was pretty obvious that they all wanted this event to happen, and it happened. It was a self-fulfilling prophecy, and now it's, I don't know. Just to get into my scores on it, like I said, I really did think that the bulk of the project, the intro was very strong, the cue was very strong, love the exterior, love and even some of the gags they came up with were really fun, like the Donald chair thing. Like, I vividly remember that cartoon that's based off of. So the skeleton dance being in there, like, good gags, but again, it's just like there's nothing stringing it together at all. Yeah. Anyways, to get to the score, so creativity, I'm gonna give them a 7 out of 10. Like I said, the Ghostbusters thing is a little bare bones, but I'm gonna be kind of generous just based on, like, I do like the fact that they went the Silly Symphonies route with the design of the exterior, and I like some of the Q stuff. So I was initially going to give this a 6, but I think just the fact that they worked in some Silly Symphony stuff kind of bumps it up to a 7 for me. Realism, I'm going to give it an 8 just because there's not really anything in here that I can, like, totally see them not doing. So fair enough, 8 out of 10. Detail, I mean, I think this is pretty obvious. 5 out of 10 because half the project was fairly detailed. Half of it was a rushed bullet point outline.
And half of it was missing.
Presentation, this might be a little generous. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10 just because I feel like there were some really good reference photos, and I did very much like the concept art from the mansion exterior. And group work, 7 out of 10 just because everyone did technically contribute ideas to the overall project. I'm just not sure the ideas worked. Like, for example, I kind of want to say that Figment had the idea to do the Silly Symphony thing. And then D Squared was really pushing for the Ghostbusters thing. And so, you know, as much as I appreciate that D Squared has his own thing that he wanted to do, I feel like this project would have been a lot better if they would have just having it be the Silly Symphonies thing would have like completely eliminated the need for a plot. And you don't need a plot. Does the Haunted Mansion have a plot, Sandy?
No.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't. I mean, you can make up any sort of elaborate mythology you want, and there is an elaborate mythology to it, but the actual experience of the ride, there is no plot. Like, Pirates of the Caribbean has way more of a plot than Haunted Mansion does, in my personal opinion.
And then again, Pirates isn't really just a plot. It's more just like a little idea they had. I mean, it's pirates pillaging a town.
Well, yeah, but I think with Pirates of the Caribbean, especially the Disneyland one, it has the transition where it's like you see the old man in the blue bayou, and then you go into the caves and see the skeletons, and there's a little bit more of an arc there.
Yeah, I see it now.
Anyways, and then so group work I gave a 7 out of 10 to, and that overall means a score of 37 out of 50. Pause for Kevin Smith joke. Okay, I think that's enough time. Anyone who wants to use their imagination with that number can do so. In a row? All right. I guess with that in mind, Sandy, let's talk about the elimination at hand. And oh boy, again, I don't want to be too negative about this because I've already gotten some flack about being too negative about this because granted, at the end of the day, this is perfectly within everyone's right. They are all playing by the rules. There's no cheating going on. But unfortunately, Figment was nominated for elimination, and unfortunately, she was voted out unanimously with 2 votes. So, Figment, God, I was pulling for you. I was like crossing my fingers that somehow someone would change their vote, but no, it wasn't meant to be. And Figment is out in 6th place, which is, I mean, my problem with this really in the grand scheme of things is kind of like, I understand Figment being a threat. I really do. I really get it. Did it have to be now? Like, did it have to be Space and Figment one after the other? That's my whole thing. Like, if Figment really did need to go before semifinals, you still have a whole round before semifinals. So, I don't know. To me, it's kind of, is just on a personal level, I just kind of feel like if you're going to pull a move like this, at least pull it like when you have an opportunity to use Figment again for another project, because right now, Sandy, the final 4 is R. Michael, I Am Not a Hufflepuff, D Squared, and Mickey Fan, which, I mean, they're all good in their own right, for sure. But I definitely feel like all 4 of them, I think R. Michael has probably been the most active out of the 4. But all 4 of them have certainly not been the most active out of the cast. They've kind of been I don't want to say the followers to Figment in Space, but I definitely think they've let Figment in Space take the lead for a majority of these projects. And of course, Mickey Fan did have his moments, so I do think it's a solid Final 4, and we do have some twists left with the Museum of the Weird. Mew could potentially come back. I'll get into that a little bit more later. Sandy, just overall, like, I know you're kind of like you haven't been in the mix, but overall impressions on Figment leaving this early?
I think it was a poor move. I think she was a really good player. I mean, working with her, I from what I did work with her, she was really really creative. I think she brought a lot to the projects. I think I only worked with her on maybe 1 or 2, but she brought a lot to both of them. I know.
Now, from the perspective of like, if you were still in the game and she was still in the game and you knew you couldn't beat her in semifinals, would you take that shot?
No, because I mean, I think people like this who are creative and who are putting like really strong effort into this entire game, I think they have a right to win and have a right to get a really fair chance. I wouldn't want to eliminate, put someone up for elimination just because I think that I can't beat them. That's just cruel, you know?
I mean, that does kind of bother me about this is that I do feel like not a lot of people have stepped up from the shadow of Figment in Space. And so with that being said, it's almost kind of like, personally, I would rather see, if you want to beat Figment, like beat Figment at her own game, step up your own game.
Like you're not
take it as a personal challenge.
Exactly.
Now, having said that, I don't want to rally too much against it because I was the one that did encourage the strategy from the get-go, and the strategy certainly played out how it played out with the contestants. And like I said, Sandy, I did a podcast about this very subject a couple days before it actually happened, kind of warning people about it. And I said, I was just kind of like, I can't do anything about it. Like, I can't just pull out like a special immunity for Figment or nullify votes or anything like that. But
yeah, but like you were saying, like, the members who are putting Figment up for elimination, like, well, if you want to win, then make an effort to win. I know they're all making effort, whether it's in small doses or big doses, but don't just vote Figment out because you think you can't beat her. I mean, if you want to win, you can win. You just have to put some effort into it.
And like I said, as someone who does kind of think on a strategic level and understands the move to get Figment out, I would at least save it for the round before semifinals.
Definitely.
Like, I really wish that it wouldn't have happened this round. I feel like Space and Figment going out one after the other is not a good look for anyone involved. And again, I just want to make this point perfectly clear. It's like, basically, it was everyone on the team against Figment, and I am absolutely not trying to single out any one person for making that move. I kind of feel like the move was decided on by the group as a whole.
Hello? The screen is frozen. The screen is frozen. And now I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Oh, what the heck? Oh, what's going on here? Is this thing still live? What the heck? What's going on, man? What's going on?
How about now?
Yeah, I can hear you. But
God.
well, like the screen just froze up all of a sudden, and I was like, what?
Yeah, my bad. I'm sorry.
That's all right. No, it wasn't your fault. I don't know what happened.
Okay, but yeah, folks, like I said, it's just like, I'm not trying to like shame anybody here, even though it might have seemed like I did say some things that I kind of regret to certain people in certain conversations this morning. And if you're watching this, you know who you are. But I really don't mean to single anyone out. Really, it's just my own personal frustration about how this Haunted Mansion project went down. I've had a lot of passion about how I've wanted to see the Haunted Mansion project go down, and to see it basically be turned in kind of like half incomplete, it's a tough pill to swallow for me. It's a tough pill to swallow, especially since I've been looking forward to it all season. And I also just feel like the strategic elements of the game kind of got in the way of the creative elements of the game for this project, which is something that the strategic element should never do. But with that in mind, like I said, it's perfectly within everyone's right to do what they did. It's perfectly within their rights. And I'm not trying to single out anyone in particular, but with all that in mind, I'm not the biggest advocate for how this all went down. So, okay, all right. So I guess with that in mind, Sandy, we've got a few announcements to make. Next project is called Mac Castle. It's kind of a wordplay. Mac Castle Mystery Tour. McCastle Mystery Tour. And I'll have more detail on it in the main thread, but the prompt is to design a revamp of the Cinderella Castle Mystery Tour at Tokyo Disneyland that used to feature the Horn King. What I want you guys to do is take a new villain besides Maleficent, because Maleficent is the obvious one, and theme the attraction around them. Like I said, I will have more details about that in momentarily after we sign off. Just a couple quick things to address, though. Nobody got the killers the whole season. The killers went as far as they could go, as far as they could possibly go. Now, having said that, we still have one kill left, so we'll see how that plays out. Man-Eating Wreath is currently still still at the Museum of the Weird. I'm going to go ahead and assume that there's going to be one kill this project. So with that one kill, that'll leave 2 people in the Museum of the Weird, and I'm going to go ahead and have a mini project for the people at the Museum of the Weird to complete. Not like a whole big major project, a mini project for the Museum of the Weird people. And out of those people, one of them will get into the final 4. Now, I guess I'm trying to think of anything else. Like I said, with the killers, very much I will absolutely reveal the identities of the killers live on air next podcast, folks. Next podcast. So look out for that. I'm going to do that at the end of the project because I feel like at that point, it's kind of like all strategies out the window and you've got into the final 4 based on your own merits. So who the killers are do not matter at the final 4, which is when I can reveal them. But having said that, I'd like to give a big congratulations to the killers for being so crafty throughout the season and for pulling off their jobs of not being discovered beautifully well. All right, so the one last thing to go over, Sandy, which is kind of a big deal. Last round for the Walt's Vault, Man-Eating Wreath opened Walt's Vault. And do you know what happened to Man-Eating Wreath?
Something bad.
A one-way ticket to the Museum of the Weird.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this round, Man-Eating Wreath gave the key to Walt's Vault to Mickey Fan 5534. In deciding upon the last 2 events for Walt's Vault, Jokers and I decided that the second to last event would be the worst one of the season, and the last event would be the best one of the season. With that in mind, Mickey Fan 5534 has decided to take the risk and open it, and that has paid off because congratulations, Mickey Fan, you have won the round trip ticket. And the round trip ticket, which basically just rips off a Big Brother terminology because I can, basically means that Mickey Fan is safe. He has one of the 4 guaranteed spots in the final 4. No one can vote him out. No one can kill him. No questions asked. He is safe. So, yeah, that's it. That might throw a wrinkle in some plans, maybe not. I'm not sure. It's an interesting development. What do you think, Sandy?
It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out.
So, yeah. So, folks, I definitely kind of went a little over the edge this morning with some of the things I said. And like I said, you know who you are. I'm talking directly to you if you're watching this. Like, I genuinely apologize. I'm more just kind of like really, really frustrated with all the events that have gone on around the mansion project. And it's like, it's not even all that much to do with the strategy. There's definitely other things that play besides the strategy. I know a lot of people were busy. I know school's starting. And honestly, when I kind of went on my little tirade this morning to certain people, I didn't really have that foresight in mind that they were busy with school. To me, I was just kind of like, pissed about the whole strategy interfering with it. But with that in mind, folks, I do think the strategy that's being played this season is remarkably good. You guys have certainly all gotten yourselves to the end. I applaud you for that. And we have 3 projects left. We have this one, then we'll have the final 4, and then 2 people from the final 4 will advance to the final project, where the final projects will be voted on by the jury for the winner. So, Sandy, you are a part of said jury. Are you excited for that?
Yes. Cool. Exciting.
Okay. So thanks for being here, Sandy. You're basically just here because I didn't want to just do this on my own because I don't usually podcast by myself. So thank you.
Yeah. It was fun.
All right. So guys, I will have the project prompt up for you guys momentarily, and then the brainstorming thread soon after that. Please don't just let this go to waste. I mean, like, I want to see some effort put into this. Actually, Sandy, there is one other thing I want to address. Just, I know this is kind of like at the tail end, but we've been getting some criticism lately about the incentive to do projects if you're not competing against another team, if you're just making a project just in the context of a merged team. All I have to say about that is that it's been that way since season 6, since the start of the team-based format for So You Want to Be an Imagineer. And we've openly advertised that that's the way it's gone down with team-based formats, that there's going to be a merge and there's going to be one team that you work in. So having said that, I mean, I can't necessarily feel too bad about that complaint because it's just a general format of the game. I mean, I do understand where your guys are coming from. There is certainly more of an incentive when there's a team that you're fighting against. Having said that, I feel like with the merge projects, one of the things that especially this particular project that I was disappointed in was challenge yourselves. You know, even if you're not fighting another team, challenge yourselves. Just make it a personal goal to yourself to be the best that you can be. That's what I've really wanted from the merge from the beginning. And of course, the point of the merge gameplay-wise is the team dynamics, who fits in the best out of the team, who's kind of the oddballs out of the team. And strategy absolutely does play a part in it. I think Figment and Space getting knocked out one after the other was probably the most aggressive strategic thing I've ever seen in the game. I think that probably beats my me kicking out Disney Sun in season 8. Maybe not so much PM Gate, but PM Gate is a whole other entity. I'm sorry, Sandy, you have no idea what any of this is. Okay, that's all I have to say, though, folks. I can't really defend the whole criticism about people complaining about there only being one team at the merge, because that's how it's always been in the game. That's how I've advertised it. That's how I've represented it in the historical retrospectives we've done. So I feel like if you're going to criticize the game for that, you didn't look too much into what the game was to begin with, because the whole point of the game is kind of like relying on a team to support you while at the same time having to vote out that team. Much like Survivor in that extent. And to that extent, I guess I can't be too mad about the fate of Figment, because it is a very Survivor-like scenario. You know, you don't want to go to the end with someone who's going to win all the jury votes. But with that in mind, I am very sad about Figment. But I am crossing my fingers for a very exciting Final 3. A very exciting finish. There's not going to be a Final 3. There's going to be a Final 4 and then a Final 2. What the hell am I talking about? The Final 3 this season is going to be literally non-existent. But, all right, folks, I guess that's it. I got to get an early rise in the morning, so I will sign off. Thank you for staying up until the butt crack of the morning with me on the East Coast, Sandy.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, and with that in mind, I know that I've pissed some folks off tonight, and I don't expect to be forgiven for that. I know that I can be an asshole when I want to be, and I just want to genuinely apologize for that. I can let my emotions... excuse me. I can let my emotions kind of get the better of me sometimes. And, you know, it's like, we here at So You Want to Be an Imagineer like to take the model of a certain someone who runs a certain websites that may or may not review theme parks. I always take that guy's model of how not to treat his fan base as the model for how I should treat my fan base, in terms of like basically what that guy does, do the opposite of. And I feel like I didn't do that. I feel like I let down my own philosophy. I feel like I kind of took out my own personal frustration on some of the people in the game, and I very much deeply regret doing that. I hope you guys can all forgive me, and I hope we can kind of move forward from that and have a kick-ass rest of the season. All right, Sandy. Well, I will see you when you cast your vote for the winner. And in the meantime, folks, have a good night.
See ya.